Okay, good evening everyone. My name is Rehan Bharwani, and today I want to discuss a very important yet often overlooked aspect of our economy, the informal roadside businesses, which are an integral part of daily life here in Indonesia. So, what exactly is the problem? Many of these roadside businesses contribute significantly to Indonesia's economy, yet not all the money they generate is accounted for in the final calculations for Indonesia's GDP. To put this into perspective, about 25 billion USD generated by informal businesses is not counted in Indonesia's GDP due to a lack of digitalization. I know this number might seem very big and you guys might be thinking, why isn't this money accounted for in Indonesia's GDP? Now let me tell you why. So let's take a look at these two pictures. So first, the picture to the left. We can see a customer buying food from one of these local vendors. He pays the vendor cash, the vendor pockets the money and moves on to the next customer. Okay, now let's look at the next picture. So after the vendor closes up for the day, he uses his money in one of two ways. Either he can save it and go home, or he can choose to spend it. And in this case, he could be spending it for snacks or food for him or his family, or maybe to buy ingredients for the next day. And this is where the problem starts. So in the beginning, when he sells his original food item to his customer and then pockets the money, this is not accounted for in Indonesia's GDP. There's no record of this. It's basically an invisible transaction, which means that it doesn't get accounted for in the final GDP. So now, to talk about the current situation. So according to the Asia Development Bank, the informal economy constitutes approximately 22 to 30% of Indonesia's GDP. While some people might think that these roadside businesses do not contribute a lot to Indonesia's economy, they are actually wrong. And since these roadside businesses are generating this money, while some of their money is not being accounted for, this creates a major problem. We need to account for their money in order to boost Indonesia's economy and, most importantly, their GDP. So now, you might be thinking, why can't they just use a bank account or a financial service to track these transactions? Well, this is because of two major challenges. The first one is a lack of access to financial services. Some of these roadside vendors, as we know, are towards the lower to middle class income, meaning that some of them might not have access to certain technology or even to a bank account. And the second problem is inadequate digital literacy. While some of these vendors might have access to, for example, a phone or maybe a bank account, they might not know how to maintain a certain, for example, a bank account. They might not know how to maintain it on a daily basis, especially for their business. So now, what can I do about this? What can we do about this? So I propose an integrated digital platform. So the platform will feature an intuitive and easy to use interface designed for users with varying levels of digital literacy. We want to make sure this app is very easy to use because it is meant to be for these roadside vendors who might not have as much knowledge with tech and need all the assistance they can get. So now, how do we implement this app? Firstly, assessment and planning. Before we start anything out, we need to make sure that these roadside vendors are actually willing to use our app and are willing to sacrifice the easy way of just pocketing the money and changing it in for a more tech advanced way. Next, product development. So after we get the green light from these vendors, we want to make sure to develop the app to cater their needs. We want to make sure that it's easy for them to use and it suits their preferences and the way that they operate their business. Next, product development and pilot testing. So after we develop this app, we want to make sure that these roadside businesses are able to use it. So we plan on giving this app to maybe 10 to 20 roadside businesses and getting their advice, getting their feedback before actually releasing it citywide. And finally, the product launch and post-launch support. So after we launch this product citywide, we're not going to stop there. We're going to make sure that these roadside businesses actually get a chance to improve their digital literacy and they know how, for example, to operate a bank account or maybe even use our app to make sure that their sales are accounted for. So what is the expected impact? Firstly, how many Indonesians could this service provide financial service to? So this number is about 81 million Indonesians could benefit from this financial service. Now, how many businesses could be digitized from this? So as we know, many of these roadside businesses are owned by one person or maybe a family. So 81 million businesses would be digitized by just the sole use of this app. Now, what is the impact on GDP? So this app will account for all of the missing transactions in the past that were not accounted for while the roadside businesses were selling, for example, their product to their customers. And it will increase Indonesia's GDP by about 22%. So in conclusion, this app not only helps Indonesia to grow as an economy, but also helps these roadside vendors to track their finances instead of just pocketing the money and basically blindly buying whatever they want. It benefits both parties, and it sure is a very good solution to improve Indonesia's economy as a whole. Thank you.